One of the things we don't, we talk about like, oh, we don't see aliens anymore or whatever. But I'll tell you what's something we don't see anymore at all
Okay, drop it.
is the foundation of galaxies. You know what I mean? So we talk about these super black
The
holes,
white dwarfs.
whatever. No,
Or
the super massives.
yeah.
Right?
The opposite of black hole, the supermassive, the pimple of the universe.
No, well, we don't see the creation of the supermassive black holes that make
We
galaxies.
see we see black holes vomiting.
We don't see galactic making events.
No,
Galaxy
no,
forming events.
correct.
Right. What I'm trying to suggest is
In progress.
it's actually a scaling, like the dinosaur thing as well.
Mm-hmm.
There's a scaling story going on, right?
Yeah.
So
Observationally,
so
that's
what I
right.
think actually is the case, I just want to suggest this and put this out there. Is, when we talk about the Big Bang, so I'm not saying that the Big Bang is not true as a theory, whatever, not true. However, I do I suspect that what we measure as the Big Bang is our Big Bang, and is maybe the creation of
Initial
our
instance
galaxy,
from the God spittle.
which is whatever the event is that created the black hole.
Kicked it off. Whether you want to believe in spaghetti monster or Lord
Oh,
Lord G
but not
Almighty or
but not the
the
universe,
kickoff.
but not not the universe of our galaxy.
Of our local experience.
Yes.
Because
Maybe
that's
the
all we've been able
supernova.
to receive.
Yeah, that's right.
Because of our limited technology. Of course, yeah.
Because we're in like an explode, like part of a, but
A little offshoot, a little
but perhaps,
afterthought. God's afterthought.
when they talk about like
Not completely forgotten, but just an afterthought.
the earlier parts
Ricochet.
of the universe,
Yeah.
surely the earlier time in the universe is the explosions that were so tectonic or whatever the word is, space tonic,
The waves, man. Imagine having an
that
existence
made the
inside, like
galaxies.
imagine having an existence inside, like a hundredths of a second size.
Yeah, and then
Your whole existence at the
and then
beginning of the universe would be
supernova,
inside a hundredths of a second during the compression as it expanded outwards, right?
but not the universe.
Mm.
I'm trying to say,
So what are you gonna do about dinner?
what are you going to do about dinner?
Something about dinner. Yeah.
Drink another beer.
Looking, scanning,
Scanning for another beer.
scanning.
So what I'm suggesting is that there's this this process is in play, and you think about the scale, right? So let me think about this, right? So imagine the scale of the center of a galaxy, and we talk about being like 100 million solar masses or something like that. I don't know, like fucking big numbers, 100 billion.
Yeah.
100 million.
We're
So
not talking
massive.
about what Russia sued Google for.
Yeah, sure.
No,
Billions.
not even close.
But the events that caused those scale of black holes that allowed for the stability, the explosions that created that had made enough material to make galaxies were then the things that created enough material to then make other events that were 100 million scale smaller.
Sorry, there's going to be a click.
Which were like it's the thing which we call supernovas, like where we're part of this supernova, which made our whole cluster of stars, right? That thing that went kaboom, that made this concentration, was like a secondary explosion, right? From the Big Bang that made what we call the Big Bang, but it actually made what we call the Milky Way. But anyway, just work with me here, right? And so the 14 billion years and shit isn't the universe. That's our galaxy, yeah. And from that kind of, I don't know what this galactonic scale fucking energy event that occurred. When we look out from here, right? Everything does seem like it's moving away from us, right? Because that's the energy ripple of that explosion.
Observer point of view.
From the observer point of view. So, but then out of that came this other thing we still don't barely see, which is like the nebula, yeah? And then so after this massive, whatever it was.
Remember, we're only looking at it from our optical point of view, though, side. Like we get the advantage of the.
So the nebula, right? So then whatever these things, like we're in one, the star birthing clouds, right? They were actually these other explosions of some other thing that was stars.
Maybe some other body that sacrificed itself or whatever.
Well, if it was a star that was like as big as like the distance
had
between here and Alpha Centauri.
A huge amount of mass and was something that was willing to sacrifice itself to create other smaller instances or fractal within the. Of course. Of course.
So and we barely even see those
absolute sense,
anymore.
Man, because nature is a fractal. That's right.
And so that scale there then created sort of the sun type level ones. Yeah. So finally, the era of the universe.
So it's basically just been a particle share, like mass and particle share.
Yeah, sharing.
Yep. And then breaking up, building this up, building that up. Something forms differently from that, then heads off in its own direction, and
but then the next level of explosion of density, happens then on a planetary scale, like like life on a planet, like once it gets to a certain size, it starts getting rocky and it's solid and things, as opposed to these massive whatever the fuck they were.
That's it.
We start making planets things, but then the next scale, like if you go that from like say that something that's this explosions, quote unquote, events the size of that make galaxies to the ascent to ones that are that then form nebula, but then nebula explode to make the ones that make star size, to make which then like explode to make the stars and then the planets. And the planets like the thing. But at a point where it starts scaling down, we actually have to make computers to then make virtual universes.
Pre-planned,
that are the next scale down. Like if you think about, like, you know what I mean? Like where then we've got that entire event happening of the whole galaxy and everything happening, but on a planet in a lab. which allows like the next scale of that. Because once you get to the sort of the weight of like a sun, you know, like if you tried to make a smaller version, like if planet-sized things exploded to try and make smaller things, and then they were like little sort of bits of asteroids around.
That's early formation stuff side though. You know what I mean?
Like that's too small to make life.
I mean, I mean, you'd want to have it sort of rig it out so that you had everything across that little, you know what I mean? The split out.
Once the density got too low to explode and started becoming physical objects because it couldn't explode anymore.
Of course.
And it got less explosive. And we actually got stable enough. But then to keep the process going, that was the start of the galactic core and then the suns and everything. Then we have to make computers. And then inside the computers, we make universes and galaxies.
Well, isn't that what we're already starting to do with games like No Man's Sky and, you know.
So I think this is perhaps a natural progression
universe simulator. Aren't we already trying to do that, Si? Like, that's how, you know. We take the data that's provided and then we throw it into the model.
Isn't that energy efficient though?
Of course it is.
It took
for doing calculations, of course.
The amount of energy it took.
Yeah. And if we're going to be blasting across the universe, then we definitely need to do the pre-calculations first.
Well, do we?
Let's not be stupid about it. Let's not just go no. Let's just be like the 1967 to 1974 fucking moon. Running off fucking tapes and shit and shooting these dudes up that had the right staff to be spacemen.
The next order of magnitude of density in the universe is not out there. It's inside a computer.
Yeah.
So the value of going out there, right, which is actually lower density, or the same density as us.
Yeah.
Right? Actually, if you want to increase our density, he's got hands. If you want to increase the density,
I should have clicked off it.
It's good. It's good to see your hands.
Yeah, I got it.
But the thing is, the actual achievement for us as the universe is to make it within, like on planet, a universe on planet, because that increases the density of information. Where if we go out in space, we actually don't increase the density increases very low. Like sure, we start to learn about a planet or whatever. We can make infinite planets in a virtual.
Yeah,
and
that's right. We've got as many generations as we want. We can create.
And then if we can harness the power of the universe to basically not travel through it, but to create like micro universes within computers that we can then go into with neural networks and stuff, and it's plugged into us. That's I think that might be the success. Energy density wise, is a Kardashev what I'm trying to say is the alternate version, I guess, of a Kardashev 3 level species. Not that it consumes the whole power of its sun, but kind of the opposite direction. That it sort of ends up being able to make entire things on its own planet.
Yes, that's it. Locally created, harvestable energy sources, exactly.
In the same way that the galaxy downscaled to supernova, to suns, to planets, to then orbiting units called life forms, to then fucking
create the more energy efficient scenario.
The next more energy efficient scenario of making entire universes.
To still continue to power in a subway. That's right, without forcing further expansion.
And I don't know.
Self-relief, universal self-relief.
And it might be that the Big Bang was that period of time where a lot of these galaxy-sized forming explosions occurred, and whatever this thing is, or events occurred, not explosions, events occurred, and that it's not just one, or it's actually like some kind of whatever explosion,
a string of whatever harmonic way that it unloaded,
however it unloaded, but it's like it's something, and that then there's a secondary phase, and potentially that the scale of time of those could have been quite different, where maybe the first ones were didn't take billions of, where maybe say the Earth took billions of years to create life. Maybe earlier
that's what I was talking about, the whole shortened experience.
Maybe earlier phases didn't take that long.
Imagine living the entire civilization in a hundredth of a second, because that's what the universe might have been like back then. It might have been a hundredth of a second long.
Yes, I agree.
So your entire civilization of everything existed within that hundredth of a second. Yeah. During its first iteration, and then slowly but surely just expanded out in like a fart, initial explosion, and then just a big gas, and then creating
I haven't seen
sub-pockets.
Kind of like a scientific kind of artificial representation that shows.
Well, they say there's a lot of speculation on what the universe looks like, right? I think it's a giant jellyfish, and I think I've mentioned it a few times before that
Well, it'll be in multiple dimensions, though. It wouldn't be just in 3 dimensions.
No. It expands through it has time because it is
exactly.
Yeah.
It's a 4-dimensional.
The only reason you see it in that way is because that's the perception that we have because of our limited vision.
Tuber.
We can't smell like an elephant,
So
we have no ability to do so.
What do you call those things? Like a sweet
and even
potato.
then, what would we do with the fucking data? That's the thing.
Universe is like that, more like a 4-dimensional sweet potato.
Yeah. Hopefully something tasty. You know what I mean?
I didn't
really work into it. At least get a meal out of it.
The honor must go to the other, to the Quellen. But so I think.
King.
I think. Well, I'd like to see it. I want to see the explosions that made galaxies, and why don't they happen now?
I'm sure we could simulate it, man. Like there'd have to be some method of doing so, and I'm sure that they've tried it a few times in labs and whatever else. But more than likely, it just needs that little bit of extra creative spin that an AI can give.
Yep.
Maybe that's all it needs. Just to around that little bit of chaos. Expecting the unexpected.
And to me, right, what I'm thinking is that when we see like what we call the edge of the visible universe, that's the edge of where
that's the time dilation edge,
or the edge of where the energy wave of this galaxy's explosion to be created is.
Our little maternal sac, instead of light, the initial.
But not the universes, just like this, like this regional
individual,
debate.
yeah, the cell.
Because it's a very desirable thing to make it like that, as if it all just came from a like just singular and everything is one. But I don't know, like this massive galactic web shit, that's like the actual galaxies are sort of along, like the sort of arranged huge filaments and structures. That's not sort of the nature of the way that forms. Doesn't come out of like a centralized explosion pushing out in a circular pattern.
It's more like
it's fractally creating out of some kind of growing structure.
Ever growing imagination. 9 billion imagination.
Well, it's interesting if you think about that then, that perhaps there's galactic in that way, as if like what we see, like the first cells that come out of a tree
are making your image.
Do they get pushed all the way? Does that, like imagine if you're the little leaf, the first leaf and branch on a tree, on an oak tree, and then you happen to survive the whole time for 400 years, and you end up on the upper top of the tree. Yeah, you've grown the whole way up. You're like on the outer tippy tops. Totally doable. It's goals. Of a branch. However, if you were like newer in the piece, and so you were down sort of near the early part still, so where if you were close to the core,
all the new growth is at the top of a tree. It doesn't, like, it occasionally will pop out down below, but
so that's interesting. So it's a moving front.
Its focus is the sun, right?
That's right.
It's
exactly.
coverage of the sun. Yeah,
it's about the sun. I'm reaching for the sun.
Sunflowers.
It's getting that lovely warmth. That's what you want. Ants love reaching for the sun.
Gift.
Yeah, special gift.
Ever giving gift. That is the sun sign. The ever giving gift, just like the moon is the ever giving gift.
Well, that's the triumvirate, isn't it? Then you've just got the Earth, the Moon, and the Sun. Yeah. Special triumvirate.
Special friends. Little Venus and Mercury coming in for the hug, but just sort of just in the middle. Going, oh, hey, my butt's really hot and my front's really cold. Sun's just like smiling, just giving a big hug. Mercury and Venus just sizzling, just loving it, so close.
Just really, just
coming in for the close for the embrace. New children, like if you think of the sun as a planet factory, the spitter of the dust, because it's been pretty spitty lately. It's been like on the earth at the moment. It's been throwing out some big.
It has.
Like it's been some big X flares and keeping everyone excited. Everyone's worried about their data, so back up, do a backup if you need to. Otherwise, keep it in the glorious Google distributed or Apple distributed little holding pen for future online engagement.
I've just looked up galaxies, and we misunderstand.
Do we?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because
this is good about science. Like when you learn something new.
I mean, it's stuff I've initially said. That was very brief. There may be better understandings. I'm not saying that no understandings are known.
Oh, well, we do a lot of imaginings.
We're looking here.
Part of the Imaginarium.
They show that the way that galaxies formed was by galaxies, like things that are too slow to happen and to have had enough time to happen.
Quick enough, so it's just
not possible. Like they're showing they're showing galaxies hitting each other to make galaxies, and it's like so we've already gone through the phase where we've got a central black hole and all the material and all the suns, because a galaxy is a collection of suns. So the event before there were suns, because the thing
the fight for the pivot point. Yeah.
This is not. What's this?
Fight for the point of pivoting. That's it. Yeah. Who's going to be your anchor? Which big dark experience do you want to be your anchor?
Wow, here we go. 47 seconds. What's it showing? Whoa.
What's going to be the anchor point for your galaxy? See it. It's going to keep you swirling around in space. What is it, 1 billion miles an hour?
Yeah,
collectively 1 billion miles an hour. That's a lot of miles an hour. It's funny how empirical science is based on stillness, like being still, even though the Earth moves and stuff.
I think this is. I mean,
most empirical science is based on stillness, at rest through entropy. As rest as it can be.
But that means that then plate, I think that the problem with the way that we show the galaxies forming is that it's actually more like a large event that creates the central thing, like the density of that the outfall of that is the material.
The first temper tantrum.
Is the first temper tantrum, but the way they show
first temper tantrum of the
a bunch of like dust gathering together made a galaxy, and it's like, ugh.
It's a 2-year-old temperature. It's a 2 million year old temper tantrum of the universe. It's like, I'm not big enough yet. I want the big boy pants, and then just doing the major, super pissed off, throw out more light, heavy, compact.
Because it shows just dust spinning around. It's like, I'll show you this. I'm going to send you this link. This is from NASA and shit, right? I'm not saying that means anything like special.
Need another 7 astronauts, man.
It's just scientists just having a go.
Yeah, true.
Like that's what I mean. You know what I mean? It's like they're just because NASA gives it more or less weight. It's just a group of scientists having a go.
Paperclip.
So there's a video on here.
Hang on, just heading back. Doing my usual wandering through the house. Oh, pizza on the way. 8 minutes. Eating commencing.
Wow. Now that
Father Peter.
Scientists have
Must
discovered
be.
gigantic structures 25,000 light years tall, ballooning above and below the Milky Way. Within each curved lobe, extremely energetic electrons of unknown origin interact with lower energy light to generate the gamma rays that define. This looks wild.
Cosmic dance. Well,
But
I can download it. Awesome.
The problem with these videos is it's sort of like, I don't know, it's just sort of, if it was dust spinning around, then that suggests that everything was kind of a soup of dust that could be collected and
galactic vaginas. They look very
versus what we actually kind of see is fairly kind of isolated objects, because it's not like a thin layer of dust everywhere and most of it gravitated to the thing. It's more like large events occurred, rips in whatever,
big pops,
that all of this matter was created at once. Like so much freaking energy was
the first
created.
Initial jab and splurt into ether space. It's like the modern. It's like, here we go. We want to make a baby. Let's throw 100,000 zygotes at a single egg and take our chances.
Like I'd say, like our galaxy, for example, with its arms, has barely even done much of a
space babies.
Like it could be in its first rotation.
Galaxy's a space baby. It's splurting out there. It's trying to take hold. It's trying to grow.
We probably can figure that out actually.
Come on.
So that's probably not well too. That's whatever we say, this is probably accurate.
Space babies. Galaxy. Don't want to have a temper tantrum and get into a fight with another galaxy, collide, and then like steal shit from each other and stuff. Don't want that to happen. Oh, dude, greedy galaxies, stomper boys in space.
Well, in this, they're just showing like just dots. Like they're not. It's still like, why is it? Okay, is it? It's not a uniform thing. It's like some kind of web of density.
Started out as like a point of light, and then just spread out into this multifaceted, collection of dust that gathered under its own fruition due to similarity to create the.
It was a high energy event in one in a location.
How much? Like how many gigawatts of energy would that be? Like fucking gigawatts. How many fucking gigawatts would that be? So like.
Well, it created everything. So
it did in one instance. In one fucking instance. That's the whole thing. So like just blows people's minds away. Like
well,
if you've got like even half a brain, like it just goes. Oh, I don't want to think about it.
It wasn't actually in once because like the first one is like the galaxy, and then in that like these big clusters form and then get dense enough to then have secondary explosions.
Yeah.
To then have tertiary explosions.
Like cluster bombs. Let's see, drop like cluster bombs.
And,
I reckon Galaxy is like the antenna of God. Like whatever set it up, what it did was it sent in like a fucking huge array, and what we think is our home and where we live on some little speck of rock of dust in the middle of insignificance nowhere, right? It just created the communication system all the way down to our little speck of dust level to be able to experience life. It threw all this shit out just so it would happen. Thank you very much. You're welcome. Done. Don't be angry at one another. We're all just God looking at each other and going, what the fuck?
That's what I'm trying to say. Like, you look at this shit, you look at this fucking black hole, and you
who cares what color you are or what religion you are? We're all part of God. Enjoy, have a great time. Try not to kill each other. You'll get fucking 3,000 versions in your own spaceship and 10 planets to colonize. Yeah.
That created the dust, the chunk. Like the matter came afterwards. It's not, they make out like that the matter was already there.
No. The light was there. The
energy,
fucking scintillating, fucking refracting, fractalizing light was there, and then from that it fucking solidified into matter. Or from our limited perspective, from an optical point of view. Fuck OSI, because who knows? This could be a giant fart, and we're just not smelling it right. You know what I mean? It could be. The universe could be just a big fart, and we're just not smelling it right. Elephants know exactly what the fuck's going on. They smell they smell people farting like 10 miles away.
Now this, which I'm going to show you, which is a simulation, a bit more of something actually that they discovered, and then this actually is very interesting.
Give me a minute. There'll be pizza noises. I'll come back to the doing. All right. Just give me 1 second.
I might try it now. Okay, can I do it? What to do it? Let me just see if I can find something. Very well, thank you. Have a good night.
Bath Feeder wins again via Pizza Hut.
Nice.
Not a sponsor tonight. They're not paying us to sponsor them.
So check this shit out.
Yeah, looking. Bloop. Galactic lobes. Is this using infrared spectrometry?
Well, so that's just figuring out like that. Yeah, and that basically it's the
as above, so below side.
Well, it's the black hole. Now. It's the giant hole at the front of that is the galaxy. Boop. This is a freaking like it's a density level explosion. It wasn't freaking bits of dust from
Whoosh.
Galaxy around the dust,
spitting out matter, just blaspheming in the ether, spreading light.
That is the Big Bang. Right, from our experience, like our localized experience.
Yeah.
If we imagine we could measure much else different to that level, it is that is our experience.
And then the stars out beyond there, all having that similar experience. Yeah.
We'd have to leave the galaxy to like really be free of its
be free of the influence of its optical
directly,
optical above and below influence. improve your refractive index.
I love it. Yeah, and they're very honest. It says how artists imagine,
Mm-hmm.
and this one's pretty cool. Like the actual formation phase.
I love what
Check
they do,
this.
man.
Check this.
Artists do a great job.
This.
Mm.
Check this shit. Like this is more about woof woof woof. This fucking.
Viewers can't see it. We're looking at it. It's pretty cool though.
We can't see it. I'm sure they can see it, can't they?
Hang on. Let me just minimize that. Oh, they can. Sorry.
Bam.
My apologies, sir. You are on it.
Wham, wham,
Put your
wham,
wham bam.
wham. That's a galaxy. That's
Special friend in the center just spitting venom.
Then the gas
Look at him
happens.
spitting venom. Look at that little dark matter motherfucker.
Just beasting.
Just beasting it out just so we can have light. Thanks, bro. Thanks, buddy. Appreciate it.
And then from
without you, I would be nothing. You know what I mean? Like, spit it like fucking toxic venom into
from that one.
Let them have the light. Let them have the light direct. Just right up there. Infrared arseholes.
It's been around.
Ultraviolet arseholes. Just zap them.
It's the thing that's been around since what we call the beginning of the universe.
True.
I'd say.
True.
And
The spitting.
it's actually the beginning of that. And,
the true origin of spit on that thing is a black hole.
And the reason why we can see is because we live inside its bubble.
Yeah.
And so that's the edge of
I'm
our
happy
vision.
to be a little participant. I'm glad I'm not living under a bridge
It's
or
our lens effect.
having to have that alternate lifestyle.